What's going on, people? It's your girl Minna. Welcome back to my channel. You already know what it is. Big up everyone locked in on this wonderful Thursday. It's nearly Friday, so it's a nice Thursday here. Big up to everyone locked in wherever you are. If it's morning, if it's afternoon, if it's evening, if it's night for you guys, be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. The transfer news is transfer newsing. The Euros kicking off tomorrow, so we got some football to look forward to, so you can expect some content. But as always, I guess it's just we're in limbo waiting for the Premier League to start to give us a bit more stuff to talk about. But you know what it is, man. We always find stuff to talk about. We always find stuff to review. Now, coming into the stream, the plan was to do a little bit of a striker scouting thing, and then there's been some extra news coming out since then. So we're gonna mix it up a little bit. We're gonna do a bit of recent transfer news that may or may not impact Manchester United, and then we're going to talk about the transfer market, the striker market for Manchester United, and what exactly United could kind of get out of this market. Now, of course, in order to buy Manchester United, will have to sell, and they'll have to sell very, very good. They'll have to sell well enough to be able to bring in some players, and already they look like to be making moves to get rid of some players. So be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. As of today, there's not really any new news surrounding Erik ten Hag and his contract situation, but there are some little bits and bobs coming out about what could be on the horizon for Erik ten Hag, whether it's with his coaching staff, whether it's with the altered role that he could have at the club under this new contract, etc. So we're going to go into that as well. So inevitably, it's a bit of everything. We're talking a bit about everything. The biggest news out of everything, I'm not going to lie, it's probably Olise. And the talk about Olise. So that will be a bit of this stream will be about that. But obviously, we're going to talk about the striker market. We're going to talk about some defenders that United have been linked to. You know what it is, man. Transfer season is the time of the year where Manchester United become interested FC, linked FC, approaching FC, watching FC. They don't really be doing much, but we be linked to a lot of players. And I don't know sometimes. I don't know if it's because we're linked to these players to drive up the transfer value for them. I don't know if we're linked to these players to kind of drive up the transfer process for them, but it always tends to happen all the time. But quickly, before we kind of get into, I would say, the transfer news, let's get into some Erik ten Hag talk. Let's get into some Erik ten Hag discussions. I've just fucked about with my shit completely. Excuse my language. There you go. All right, we're good. Let's get into some Erik ten Hag talk, and then we're going to get into all the transfer stuff. So be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. And to be honest, guys, it's a Thursday. There's not really much to do on a Thursday when it comes to the footballing world, especially when there's nothing really on at the moment. But Manchester United, reported by Rob Dawson this morning, Manchester United's contract negotiations with Erik ten Hag include discussions about his role in the club's recruitment and the makeup of his coaching staff. The reason why I'm mentioning this is because it has been mentioned in the last, I'd say, month or so that Ineos were looking to add their own kind of coaches to Erik ten Hag's coaching team. Benny McCarthy is one coach that we do know his contract is actually expiring, and there's not really much information about whether he will be extended or not. We do know that it's been suggested that Erik ten Hag does want to keep and stay with Benny McCarthy. However, Ineos are probably looking at, and I've heard this over the last couple of weeks, that Ineos are looking to bring in their kind of own coaching members. Not completely. They're not going to get rid of, I think, Micheal van der Gaag, who is Erik ten Hag's number 2, second in command. I don't think they'll get rid of him, but I definitely think they might bring in maybe like their own set piece specialist. They might bring in their own like tactics coach, etc., etc. I do imagine that will happen, and I don't think Erik ten Hag will have a full kind of veto as to a yes or a no. I think he will just be told that he has to work with them. And that's what it kind of suggests here, as well as in the recruitment side of stuff. He is, Erik ten Hag will be the coach. He will be the coach. And his job is to win and win very well. However, I don't think he will be heavily involved in recruitment. I think he can request, I think he'll be able to request positions, which was kind of under the five rules of Ineos. But it was suggested that he will be able to kind of request particular positions, but he won't be able to request particular players. Maybe that avoids a situation like Anthony again on the horizon. This is coming from Rob Dawson at ESPN, who, I'm not going to lie, guys, had a blunder last week. He had a blunder last week saying that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was about to be the Besiktas coach and he was about to be announced. And then within like an hour, Besiktas announced that it was actually Giovanni from Bronkhorst. Whoever gave him that information set him up. But some talk on recruitment, the recruitment work led by Jason Wilcox and Steve Brown in the continued absence of Dan Ashworth, who is still on garden leave with Newcastle, still having agreed terms with Manchester United, just recently rejected a 15 million bid. Imagine this. We're living in a day and age, peeps. We're living in a day and age where you have to pay for backroom staff. Not even backroom staff. This is back end staff. You actually have to pay for them. I don't know, man. Soon you're gonna have to start paying for. I don't even know. Wallahi, like they might even start charging to do warm-ups on people's pitches before a game, because we went from, I don't know if this was a norm 20, 30 years ago. I don't know. I don't know if it was a norm 20, 30 years ago. But for me, it's absurd that Newcastle are literally holding, I don't want to say holding him hostage, but they're holding out for the right amount of money, which is what was a similar situation that happened with them and Brighton. 15 million is a lot for a sporting director. That is a lot of money. 15 million for a club that I think is out there already, that Manchester United don't really have money to spend, like cash in hand to spend, and anything that they do probably have will probably be down on the transfer budget. But man, oh man, 15 million bid from Manchester United to Newcastle for Dan Ashworth, that was rejected. But there is recruitment work happening behind closed doors, and Erik ten Hag will be briefed on the progress, and it will be confirmed he will lead the team next season. Of course, we know that, but essentially it's kind of confirming to us what we anticipated, which would be that Erik ten Hag will take a step back from the recruitment, from the scouting, from the transfer side of stuff, and they will implement their own team, their own unit. I would say it's like a military, guys. It's like an army. There's different sections in the army, people specializing in different parts of warfare. This is basically the same thing. Ineos are preparing to go to war, and they're setting up their different departments. It's as simple as that, which is low-key is kind of like what I agree with. But under this new structure, it is suggested that Ten Hag would be allowed a voice on transfers, but his redefined role would center on managing and coaching a Manchester United team largely assembled by him. So essentially the goal is, or maybe the outcome is for Erik ten Hag to be able to have an opinion, but the opinion and the value and the weight of that opinion, I guess we'll never know. I guess we'll never know until it comes to maybe him missing out on transfer targets that he likes or he's interested in. But essentially, that's where everything stands with Erik ten Hag and his situation. And just a quick one, as I mentioned, Benny McCarthy before, talks are ongoing surrounding Manchester United's coaching staff. You can see them all here. There's quite a few of them. Eric Ramsey in this picture has left, and he's in the MLS right now. Ten Hag would like McCarthy to stay, but Sir Dave Brailsford is open to the idea of bringing in an external coach to work with the assistants, Micheal van der Gaag and Steve McLaren. There is a feeling that an outside coaching appointment approved by Ashworth and Wilcox would help quickly implement a club-led game model rather than one determined solely by the manager. So essentially what I think that they're trying to do by bringing in their own coach is, and I'm very curious to know if they would have done this had they brought in their own manager, but because Ten Hag is not really their own manager, they're bringing in their own coach, an external coach, to work with the number 2 and the number 3 coaching members, and essentially implement or attempt to implement the style of football that Jason Wilcox and the senior ups are trying to implement at Manchester United. And I'm not saying that coach, his job is solely based on that, but I think it makes it easier for Ineos and for the likes of Wilcox, etc., to have an outside voice come in on a fresh slate, because it's likely that Micheal van der Gaag and Steve McLaren are kind of, I don't want to say stuck in their ways, but they are probably sold on the way that Erik ten Hag is doing things. And I'm not saying Erik ten Hag ain't going to change his ways, because we've seen over the last couple of games of the season he was able to change exactly his playing style. So I think having an external coach will kind of balance it out for Wilcox and the team, where they'll have, you know, their own coach, and then the coaches that are already there that will kind of bring them up to exactly where they want to be. It might make it easier for them to implement the style of football they want to play. It might be easier for it to, you know, for the tactical approach of stuff. And essentially, it would be a club-led game model, which means it's going to be implemented across, I think, a range of Manchester United clubs. I think it's going to be impacting the academy. I think it will be impacting the women's team, etc. I think it's going to be across multiple different platforms of Manchester United. And I guess it's just trying to harmonize everything. Now, Micheal van der Gaag was mentioned a lot in the kind of video that I did yesterday, talking about how Ineos came to the solution of selecting Erik ten Hag to be the manager, and they were concerned about his loyalty, about Ten Hag's loyalty to his number 2. But hey, I don't think it's much. I don't really think it's much to look into. I don't think it's really much to look into. Now, just some news. Roberto De Zerbi is expected to become Marseille manager. I'm going to watch Marseille because there's a few players I like at Marseille anyways, but it's being reported that he rejected an offer from Manchester United. But you guys know when we spoke about this yesterday, and this is what kind of his team is probably putting out stories. United's team is probably putting out stories. It seems that a lot of the decisions made surrounding Erik ten Hag staying at Manchester United was factoring in a lot of stuff. It was factoring in transfers. It was factoring in the financial aspect of, you know, keeping Ten Hag versus getting a new manager. And essentially, it was suggested in that piece that De Zerbi and Manchester United got as far as discussing salaries, and that is where he fell at the hurdle. I think he probably was requesting a lot more, I mean, compensation-wise, to be paying out Erik ten Hag for his final year. Pay him out on his final year, because I just want to do the maths quickly. It would have been 750k a month, 9 million. 9 million. So if a manager is making 750k a month, how much do you think De Zerbi was probably requesting from Manchester United monthly? He must have been in like the 1.1, 1.2 million a month kind of bracket. He must have been. Now, I'm not saying Erik ten Hag got his job off a technicality, just because of the money aspect of things, but this idea that he rejected Manchester United's offer is probably because of the salary. It's probably because of the wages. Now, onto the topic of transfers, because I guess that's what we're kind of here to talk about. I think, by the way, can I just go? Let me just quickly go back to actually De Zerbi. Just on De Zerbi quickly. Marseille is a good jump for him. I think that's it. It's going to be very interesting to see how he implements his style of football at Marseille and how he does in the French league. Now, of course, the French league is a bit of it's dominated most of the time by PSG, but you know, in the second, the third, fourth is kind of like it's up for grabs. It's kind of up for grabs. So I'm very interested to see how Marseille do, because Marseille's actually they've got some decent players as well, and they tend to have decent transfer budgets, and they do pretty well in the transfer markets. So I'm very interested to see. But yeah, I think that's a step up for him. I think from Brighton to Marseille, I think, no disrespect to Brighton, but I think that's a step up for him. Now, on the topic of transfers, because of course, that's what we're here to talk about, guys. That's what we are here to talk about. I'm going to start with outgoings, and probably the biggest outgoing that's being discussed right now out there is the departure of Mason Greenwood. Now, Juve reportedly have made a 40 million proposal. However, and we touched on it yesterday, kind of talking about what the breakdown probably would be about this 40 million. Apparently it's a 25 million base or transfer fee with a bunch of other stuff. Manchester United are looking for 40 to 50 million, and it's advanced. They're suggesting that the clubs are both at advanced stages in these talks. Mason Greenwood is open to the move. He's happy to go to Juve. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how he gets on at Serie A. Every time I think of Juve, I think of my boy Pogba, man. Shout out my boy Pogba. But it'll be interesting to see. Of course, he's open to the move, and I guess it will kind of open up transfer fees or transfer monetary funds, or it will also kind of start to open up that right-hand side, because we're going to come and talk about that right-hand side. We're going to talk about Olise. We're going to talk about what the hell is happening with that and Manchester United. I think personally Man United will miss out on Olise, But that's my personal opinion, and we're going to come to that. Mason Greenwood will likely be the first transfer out of Manchester United this summer for a fee. Of course, there's a lot of players, there's a lot of other players that are kind of up in the air right now about their futures. Some of them are playing in international tournaments, so it does make it a little bit more difficult to kind of get a move done for them. The likes of Scott McTominay, Harry Maguire is recovering from this injury that he has that made him pull out of the Euros. And of course, there's Casemiro, etc., etc. Now, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is a name that I've kind of heard flying around over the last week or so. Recently, Galatasaray reportedly put in a bid. It was mentioned in Turkey as well. It's kind of big news in Turkey that Galatasaray are interested, and they put in a 20 million bid. But I also heard about Inter Milan being a possible destination for him. So that's a transfer to kind of keep your eye on. But my prediction, and based on the news out there right now, this will be the first, I don't want to say major outgoing, but it is the first outgoing of monetary value for Manchester United this summer. That's it. So Mason Greenwood, and I guess that move, maybe I don't even know where he was on at loan. Getafe, maybe the move to Getafe kind of helped to drive that price up, etc. So Man United can make, and by the way, it's 100% profit, academy kid, 100% profit from an FFP perspective and a profit and sustainability perspective. That is a big positive for Manchester United. That is a big positive. So I guess they're keen to get those kind of moves done. I wouldn't be surprised, by the way, if Scotland crash out, if a move is done for McTominay, because that's the money that is just 100%. It's 100% profit on the books, and it will help Manchester United from an FFP perspective. Now, I am curious to know whether they put in a selling clause, whether they put in, like a what's it called? A selling clause, or if they win the Serie A, those kind of clauses, trophy clauses, la-di-da-di-da, all of that kind of stuff. But I guess we'll know the details once it actually happens. And to be honest, I did say he might be the first transfer of monetary value, but I think it was reported that Omari Forson, he's joined Monza, not Monzo for the people that live in the UK, not Monza, but it's reported that Manchester United will get a fee, but I thought he was a free agent, so I don't know. That is a transfer that didn't really make sense to me. However, another transfer that doesn't really make much sense to me personally is the Ligt. Just give me the light. I want him to come to Manchester United, yeah, just so I can sing that song. Honestly, I want him to come to Manchester United just so I can sing that song every time he plays. But there you go. First transfer was Alvaro Fernandez. Yeah, I think it was 8 million, I think 7 million. It was quite a small fee for Alvaro Fernandez as well. I was shocked by that. But Greenwood will be the first transfer of a large monetary value. Maybe that's what I was trying to suggest. But I don't even know where these. I feel like it's clockwork. The other day when Bayern Munich said that the Ligt was available, I've said to you guys on that stream last week, it's going to be like clockwork. Manchester United inevitably will end up being linked to him. And there we have it. Already, Manchester United is closely monitoring. I told you, interested FC, watching FC, monitoring FC. We are monitoring another player. So many monitors. Their electricity bill must be moving mad. Honestly, guys, I want him to come to United just so I can sing that song. Shout out to everyone that knows the reference as well. Shout out to all my yardies as well. Now, he has been a player that Manchester United, I think, have looked at in the past. When he was leaving Juve, I remember it was kind of, again, monitoring FC, interested FC, all of them kind of stuff. Erik Ten Hag is a big fan of the Ligt. They got a history at Ajax, of course. That's when he was a lot younger. And Manchester United is looking for a new centre-back. The Ligt is allowed to leave FC Bayern for a suitable offer, also because Ito will sign today, which they've announced by Munich's first signing. By the way, I only heard it yesterday, and then today, bam, announced, signed. And Tar is still a top priority for them. So the top player, he's been asked about it, by the way, at the Euros press conference today. They asked him about his future. This is what I don't understand, bro. He's literally at an international tournament with his national team. Why are you now then coming and asking him about his club position? I don't know, man. I know journalists have to have stuff to talk about, but you're going to get a diplomatic answer 9 times out of 10. 9 times out of 10, you are getting a very diplomatic answer, and that's what they got. He was asked about his future, and he just said, listen, I am focused on Euros. That's it. I'm focused on Euros. I'm not here. I'm happy at Bayern. That's it. But he knows he's on the transfer market because Bayern have reportedly put 6 players up for sale, including the Ligt. I think Mazraoui is another one. I think Kimmich is another one. And now, this is actually a perfect segue for me. This is actually the perfect segue for me. Actually, I got one more topic for Manchester United before we get to think. But Bayern Munich are speaking to Chelsea about Olise. There's 3 clubs in the race. I'll say there's actually 2 clubs in the race right now, or 3 clubs in the race who are speaking actively to Crystal Palace, which is Newcastle, Bayern Munich, Chelsea. Chelsea, personal terms for them ain't a problem. Of course, if you lot remember, Chelsea had agreed personal terms with him even last year, and then he signed a new deal with the release clause. The release clause is reportedly a bit complicated, but we're going to come to that. Another player Manchester United linked to, I think this must be like player number 70 of the linked FC over the last couple of weeks. That hairstyle is mad. Not that it's like unusual, but it's just the way that it's sitting up. Do you know how much that must hurt his head? Like, if he's got a hairband tied here, that is uncomfortable, bro. For anyone that's a woman that ever has like braids and just ties it up from here, that is just like, it's like you got a dent or like something heavy on your head. But Nico Williams is on Manchester United's radar FC. So we're not monitoring, we're not interested, yeah, we're not watching. It's radar now. Manchester United have him on the radar. He kind of looks a bit like Speed, you know. But Chelsea and Arsenal are too. I told you guys. I told you lot. Chelsea see a man with braids and they say, yeah, we're interested in him too. Arsenal are planning to make a move for the player who has a 42 million release clause. And I think this is what's going to kind of mess up Manchester United a little bit. It's not the fact that a lot of players tend to have release clauses right now in their contract. It's the fact that Manchester United are going to have to negotiate with a lot of clubs how to pay the release clause. That's it. Like, oh, my locks sit up like that. No way. Maybe I forgot these are locks. They're not braids. My bad. I get them mixed up sometimes. But for me, it's the fact that a lot of players that Man United have been linked to, or a lot of people in the market right now, have release clauses. And what's going to take Manchester United time is discussing how they're going to activate the release clause. Because I was under the impression, I was always under the impression that when a player has a release clause, is you trigger the release clause and you just pay it up front and you keep it moving. But it looks like in past time, clubs may or may not be able to negotiate paying installments for a release clause. Now, I thought it was always that you can pay transfer fees in installments. I didn't know you could pay a release clause. Now, of course, we won't know, and this is just kind of speculation, but you look at the 3 teams that are on this list, the Arsenal, the Chelsea, United. And Arsenal are way ahead in their project. Chelsea are probably a bit more advanced in their project and probably financially might have a bit more to offer to players. Manchester United are really in that teething period right now under Ineos, where they're still trying to find their feet. They're still trying to find their feet and figure stuff out. They've got heaps of backroom stuff, you know, with Dan Ashworth still not coming in, etc. So they still got to figure stuff out. And that might hinder the process of the transfer window, like if we're being honest. Now, of course, David Ornstein comes through with the bomb. He comes through with the bomb, saying Chelsea make contact with Crystal Palace over Micheal Olise deal. And then within 2 hours, he comes through and says Bayern Munich and Newcastle have also contacted Palace. So it's not just Chelsea that are in for Olise or interested in Olise. It's also Newcastle and Bayern Munich. And I'm not gonna lie, guys. I look at that list of players, of teams. Sorry, I look at the kind of list of teams. Bayern Munich coming for you. I'm going there. Maybe their process is a bit different because you know, they've got a new manager. They've got, of course, you know, Vincent Kompany. That itself is what's it called? That itself is a risk. Bayern Munich itself is a risk. And the reason why I say that is because he is still building on whatever he's building on. or whatever he's trying to build. He's yet to try like find his feet at Bayern Munich. Of course, it's early stages, hasn't even played a game or hasn't been able to coach a game yet. But Chelsea, Newcastle, I was gonna put on the thumbnail. I don't know if I put it. But I was gonna put a thumbnail of him in a Manchester. Shall I put the picture up? Let me find the picture. Hold on. I was gonna put it up on here. Of Olise in a Manchester United shirt, but I realized I need to stop doing that, because whenever I do that for players, it just never flipping happens. Like it's like I'm setting myself up at that point. I'm actually setting myself up at that point. But here we go. This is what could happen. It could happen, but realistically, and this is where the deep part of the conversation for the stream today comes from. It comes from this. Do you see Manchester United really getting their hands on Olise? Because what happened when Crystal Palace beat us 4-0, the biggest topic of discussion was that Olise was auditioning for a role at Manchester United. That was the biggest topic of discussion. We didn't take into consideration Chelsea possibly being interested in him, and I never had it on the horizon for Newcastle or Bayern Munich to also be interested in him. So if you are wondering where that kind of stands right now, as per David Ornstein, I'm not talking about interested FC. These lot are not like Manchester United, where it's interested FC, radar FC, all of that kind of stuff. They are all actively speaking to Crystal Palace. They are all actively contacting Crystal Palace to approach his team. Which means, I think, if they've approached Palace to talk, then they will definitely play his release clause. He's got a 60 million release clause. Now, it is reported about the kind of complications surrounding his release clause. Matt Law at the Daily Telegraph said that he has a 60 million release clause, although it's not as straightforward, and some may suggest it may only be triggered by a Champions League club. Now, I don't know what that means in terms of if I come, a Newcastle, a Man United, a Chelsea, who is not in Champions League, do I have to pay more on top of the release clause to sign him? Whereas Bayern Munich, in Champions League, knocked out semi-finals this year, can easily come, trigger the 60 million, dash the 60 million at them, agree personal terms with him, keep it moving. Excuse me, that can easily be done, which is why, for me, I feel like it's most likely that he will go to Bayern Munich. I have always said, though, I don't understand why Manchester United was linked to him. Now, I'm not gonna lie, guys. Olise is 10 times the player any right winger that United have. I'm gonna be very honest, but until we kind of understand what's happening with Jadon Sancho, we understand. I don't think Garnacho's long-term future is the right wing. I think he's going to be used as a left winger and a right winger, kind of both. Amad Diallo, will he continue to be a squad player? If that's the case, Anthony needs to be sold and bring Olise in. But like I mentioned with other players that United have been interested in, there is so much other backroom stuff that needs to be done before Manchester United start getting active in the transfer window. And it's very unfortunate, because I feel like United will be 5, 6, 7 steps behind a lot of these other clubs. Now, when Clear Lake, I think their name's Clear Lake, Blueco, whatever their name is, when they came into Chelsea, they didn't do what Ineos were doing. They just started spending left, right, centre, reckless. Of course, that was 100% takeover. Abramovich was kind of forced out by the British government. But they just came in and spent money ridiculously. And they continue to do that. Of course, now they are trying to be a bit more responsible. I'm seeing them bidding 40 million for Duran at Aston Villa. What? Like, come on. But the thing is with Chelsea is they'll be able to recoup money. They'll be able to sell Gallagher for 50 million. I've seen Gallagher with a 50 million price tag. They'll be able to sell him. All these other guys on their books right now, the Chukwemeka, flipping Raheem Sterling, all these guys, they'll be Lavia, who I swear to God, I don't think I've ever seen. By the way, I don't think I've seen Lavia in a Chelsea shirt. Maybe because I don't watch them enough. But they will be able to sell all these players and finance this move for Olise. But If you're Olise, who are you going to? That's the question. That's the question. Of course, I think English players from the Premier League going over to Germany, they can adapt. Chukwemeka, I don't even know. Is he still even at Chelsea? Well, I don't even know. I don't even know. Big up to Koala says, big up Queen. Love the amazing daily content. I told you, look, man, I'm gonna be consistent. I'm in Barbados with Choice Superstar for the annual Erik Ten Hag Haters Conference. He sends his regards. Listen, you lot, if you lot find Choice Superstar, tell him Minna's looking for him. Tell him Minna is looking for him if you find him. And big up to Ash, the newest member in the Minions gang. Welcome to the Minions gang. Big up to Ash. Be sure to use your emojis and all of that. If you want to join the membership club, just like Ash, you can. It's the pinned comment in the chat. You get your badges, you get your emojis, you get your custom member content, and of course, you get to support the growth of the channel right here. If you want to support the channel in other ways, if you're enjoying the daily content, you can send in super chats with your comments, with your questions, with your thoughts. That also supports the channel. And if you want to support the channel in alternative ways, just hit the like button. It really helps with the algorithm. It really, really helps with the algorithm, especially when you do daily content and it kind of gets lost in all the other videos of, you know, circulating the YouTube sphere, all of that kind of stuff. So big up to Starlord in the chat. Does Elise want UCL, UEL, or UECL board? That's a great question. That is a great question. I mean, anyone will say UCL. I mean, anyone will say UCL. I think of a front line of, and I forgot, by the way, Chelsea even have Nkunku. So they got Nkunku, they got Cole Palmer, they've got they're trying to go for Elise, Nicholas Jackson, they're signing Duran. I don't know, by the way, how Chelsea, and maybe I should just shut my mouth in it because I'm not here to talk about Chelsea, but how did Chelsea go from being linked to the likes of Victor Osimhen, Ivan Toney, to end up with Duran? Maybe they're taking a risk there. But for me, I kind of put out a tweet earlier saying, where do you think Elise is going? And a lot of people just said Bayern Munich. Now, I think Chelsea will not be counted out in this race. I think United are probably bottom in the race right now, not because of, you know, the fact that United suck or anything. I think it's just because they are just further behind. I think Chelsea are originally agreeing terms with him last summer, ready to make that move for him, then having to wait another year. I think Chelsea are ready to sign on the dotted line immediately. Of course, I think there needs to be, maybe there's talks behind closed doors between Palace and these other clubs about the release clause, because if they put into the release clause, do you think putting in a Champions League release clause saying that only a Champions League club can trigger your release clause, is that a request from Elise or is that a request from his agency? Because anyone can come in and trigger your release clause, innit? Once your club accepts it, they accept it. But you look at the Premier League, and I don't think any of the other teams in the Premier League that would go for him are Champions League teams. I don't think City are, apparently he's on their radar, but where's he going to play at City? Of course he'll play right wing, but he's just going to be another player that falls into the Pep system and might turn into I don't want to say it, but he could turn into a Jack Grealish, where he's become a system player and struggles. I like Elise because I think he's a very talented player, but I don't think he's the kind of player that is a system player. You won't get the best out of him by like chucking him into a system. That's just my personal opinion anyway. That's my personal opinion. We're going to go through some data, some stats. You lot know I like data. We're going to go into that about Elise and his season as well. But you look at the teams that he's linked to, and I think Man United are bottom of that list because they got all right, Sancho is gone. Anthony, who's paying anything more than a lollipop and a bag of Skittles for Anthony? At best, I think United could get maybe 25 million for Anthony, but they're taking a big hit. That's a big loss. As long as financially, from a financial perspective, as long as Manchester United are able to recoup his 1 year amortization and 1 year salary in a transfer, then that should be quite comfortable. Now, just doing some quick maths, say, how much did we buy him for? I think we bought him for around 90 million GBP. It was 100 million euros, and he signed to a 6-year deal. That is 15 million alone, his amortization every year. Slap that on top of his salary. He's on 200k a week, sorry. So if you were to just slap that, that's about 9.5 million. So roughly, if United can get 25 million for Anthony, they actually make a profit from a PSR perspective. Yeah, they actually from a annual PSR perspective, they will make a profit because the amortization of 1 year plus his 1 year wages will be less than 25 million. They'll make like a 2 million profit in the books. But from an overall financial perspective, they make a loss in it because they brought him for some stupid fee and sold him for basically peanuts because that's what he's worth. United, until they get their act together with the outgoings, unfortunately, it's just going to be a very slow transfer window. I really anticipate it. I'm not gonna lie, guys. I don't feel that optimistic for this transfer window. Not because I don't feel optimistic in the means that they don't. I think Manchester United need to clear out people, and they've been so slow in doing that because, if they had spent that time, the three week, 1 month period of this managerial review, if they spent that really trying to push players out the door and meeting with other clubs and trying to get these transfers done, I might feel a bit more optimistic. But I just feel like United might fall behind in the race because the project that they might try sell to players is not that advanced, and people might look at other clubs in the instance of this Olise thing, he might look at the Chelsea project, the Newcastle project, the Bayern Munich project, Man City project, and then the Man United project. And when he's weighing up his options, he might think Manchester United, their selling point is worse out of all of them because they're so early in their project. Now, if it's true from what we remember of like a couple months ago when he batted us up at Selhurst Park and he did want to come to United, well, that's a different story. That is a completely different story. But I look at the options that he has right now, which is clear. It's Newcastle, it's Bayern, it's Chelsea. I'd go to Bayern. I'd go to Bayern Munich. Chelsea don't need Olise, but they treat the PL like they're opening FIFA packs. Honestly, if we get Olise, will only turn profitable long term and lift current players' levels. Is the right wing spot really a priority for Manchester United though? Because I would have hoped a centre back would be the first player they get through the door because that's where they're kind of running short. Of course, I think with the right wing market, if you don't move immediately, then you kind of miss out on people. If you don't move immediately, you will miss out on players. So I kind of understand that sentiment. But from a perspective of just the holes in Manchester United's team right now, I think centre back is probably the biggest importance. It's the biggest importance, and you know what the centre back market can be like. Man United spent how long being linked to Kim Min Jae last summer for him to end up at Bayern Munich. Not saying that they should go for him again, but to then end up with Johnny Evans, and then to spend money on Mason Mount, spend money on XYZ, and have no money to buy a centre back, and then back to square one the following summer. So if United miss out on Olise, that will be a damn shame. It will be a very, very damn shame. But there's also other places I think that Manchester United do need to kind of look around to kind of fix people up. Now, just on Olise and a bit about him, because I see people kind of scruffing their nose at him. I see people hyping him up quite highly. This is actually an old graph. This is the one that I was looking for. This is what I was looking for. Last season, actually, the season before last, he had a pretty good season, 8 assists in the league, and you see actively kind of where he kind of gets involved. Now, I feel like his strengths at right wing would absolutely enhance Manchester United. Without a doubt. For me, it will absolutely enhance. And you see how important he even is to Crystal Palace. You see how important he is to Crystal Palace. Highest number of shots, most chances created, heavily involved in build-up. For me, it's very clear that he will improve wherever he goes. Whether he goes to United, Chelsea, Newcastle. I mean, Newcastle frontline with Isak and Olise and Gordon. That would be serious. That would be serious. And I think they might have the money to do that, not because they're owned by the Arabs, but because Bruno Guimaraes is being linked to like a City move. I think he's got like 100 million release clause as well. That's why I said every club right now is just throwing in release clauses on every single player. Like it's quite funny. It's quite funny to me. But that front line of Isak Gordon and Olise would be nice. Manchester United front line of Højlund, Olise, and Rashford. I don't know. But talking about Højlund, he needs help. Not like mentally on. He needs help. He cannot carry the weight of Manchester United's front line all by himself. And the frontline market right now, if you're not willing to pay big bucks, if you're not willing to pay 100 million plus, the options you have is quite limited. It's quite limited. I'm bringing up Guirassy here because it's been a conversation that we saw at the beginning of this year in the January transfer window, when Manchester United was looking for a striker, when Micheal was announced that he would be out pretty much for the rest of the season. But it looks like he will probably go to Dortmund. You know what I don't understand in the German league? What is it with players? What is it with players who basically twerk for their own? It's like he's right now in the German league and he's saying, I want to join another club in the German league. You would never fucking see that in the Premier League. Why is that so common in the German league? Like, I see Leverkusen players talking about going to Bayern or going to, bro, you just won the league. You just won the league and you're talking about going to Bayern or going to Dortmund. And la-di-da-di-da, like Bayern Munich chiefs basically saying we're looking at getting this person from Bayer Leverkusen. It's funny to me anyways, but Guirassy has confirmed to Sky Sports Germany that he really wants to join Dortmund. He really wants to join Dortmund. Now, this is a player that burst on the scene in the last year or two. In particular, he was asked today about if he could imagine a move to Dortmund, and he said absolutely or definitely. It's a very big club, nothing in advance, and I'm still in contract, but right now he's on holiday. We'll see in the next couple of weeks. Dortmund is pushing for him. Many other top clubs want him. Manchester United was linked to him in January. He's got a release clause of 20 million euros. 20 million euros. I think the only thing that kind of hinders him is his injury record. For me, that's the... Let me double check because I was looking at it earlier and I remember because he missed quite a few games. He missed quite a few games at AFCON, but he has had an injury record of recent. Let's look at what his injury record is saying. This is what his injury record is saying. For this year, he's not missed that many games. I don't know why he had injury issues. He's not really missed that many games. He's missed about 7 games all season. That's including international. Obviously, this is here when I'm mentioning that he missed some at AFCON. The year before that, he missed 8. Year before that, he missed 2. Year before that, he missed 11. And before that, he did not have any serious injury problems, I would say, prior to that. Now, of all the players, purple patch player, of all the players that are available in terms of the striker market, he's probably the cheapest out of all of that. He's got a 20 million release clause, as I mentioned, which is about 15 million euros. I don't know why Manchester United don't really want to look at it. He's approaching the last 2 years of his contract, so Stuttgart will definitely look to kind of get rid of him. But Manchester United are not the only club that was linked to him back in January. West Ham was linked to him. Fulham was interested in him. Forest was interested in him. I'm not going to lie. If Dortmund are interested in him, he'll probably end up at Dortmund. Because of Champions League football as well, there are other players as well in the German league that he kind of competes with, but he's probably I would say, top 5. Yeah, he's probably top 5 German strikers in the German league right now. Will Man United make a move for him? I don't know, but he's absolutely, for me, an option. I can imagine him in a United shirt. I don't know. I could imagine him in a United shirt. And if he's the cheapest striker out there right now, wouldn't it make sense to go for him? I think if we take into consideration value, transfer value, then it would make sense. But if you take into consideration the ideology that Ineos are trying to build, where they're trying to go for young players, then I guess he wouldn't be a player that United go for because he's 28. You'd get the best of 2 years, 3 at the most from him. Yeah, I think that is probably some of, I'll say, the downsides. Another player that Manchester United has been linked to, bro, Man United have been linked to Jonathan David for as long as I remember. I'm not going to lie, he's been linked. I can think back to like 2019, remembering hearing about Jonathan David to Manchester United. But he's another name that is still flying around in the market right now. And it's probably because the president of Lille has come out and said there's 2 players they're willing to sell this summer. Yoro and David. Both of them. Both of them is someone that they're looking to sell. he's approaching the final year of his contract, so they will definitely be trying to get rid of him. 100% they'll try to get rid of him. However, the valuation for him is interesting. Now, you take into consideration a lot of stuff. 1 year left on his contract. Okay, United shouldn't pay much for him. He's 24, so he fits the bracket of the age category that Manchester United and Ineos are trying to, the philosophy they're trying to build when it comes to ages. The approximate market value, there's no really kind of set price for him. He hasn't got a release clause or anything. Anything between, I think, 30 to 40 million would be realistic. That's just my kind of analysis for him. Is he worth that? I don't know. I don't know if he's worth that. Honestly, I couldn't tell you if he's worth that. But I know that he's a player that Manchester United have definitely been looking at for years. Does he play for? He plays for America or Canada. I don't know. Who does he play for? America or Canada? He was born in America, but he plays for Canada. So he was born in America. He was born in America. But he plays for Canada and has had a decent season. I'm not gonna lie. He's had a decent season for Lille, scoring 19 goals in the league. 19 goals. And I've always said this, guys. I've always said this. If United are going to start moving for players, I hope that they move for players that are in the French league, because of the physicality in the French league is easier to adapt when you come to the Premier League. It's absolutely different in terms of levels, but I think the adaptability is a bit easier. Now, there is no guarantee that he would come and burst onto the scene for Manchester United, but he could definitely carry some of the weight, I think, for players. Now, is he the best player? No, but I think it's so unfortunate that I'm saying this, because United are poor. They got no money right now. So you have to kind of take into consideration the financial aspects. You look at the other players on the market for bigger fees. You take into consideration the Oshimans and the Gaio Keras and all of them kind of guys. They are out of United's tax bracket. Let's be real. They are all out of United's tax bracket. But 26 goals in 47 appearances is not bad. That's like a goal every other game. That is not bad. Scored across different competitions as well, but predominantly his goals came in the league. Now, if I be a GA merchant, yeah, I'd be shameful. I say I'm a GA merchant. Excuse me, and I take into consideration his assists as well. That's 35 goals and assists in 47 games this season. That is not bad, guys. That is not bad. How many hat tricks did he score in the season? He scored 1 hat trick. Most of it is one goal here, 1 goal there, but he scored a hat trick. He scored a brace in the second to last game of the season, and he plays up top. I don't know. Some people might not agree with me. I've seen a few people in the chat saying, listen, Jonathan David, what is it? Who said it? Jonathan David, is this 2018? Of course it's show. Of course it's show. But I think he's definitely an option. And like I said, he's the cheaper of the batch. By the way, he was the only player, he's second, can I say, to Kylian Mbappe in the French league last year. Take from that what you wish. I'm not saying that he's like Kylian Mbappe, but he's second to Kylian Mbappe when it comes to goals and assists for forwards in the league. Now, of course, there's other forwards in the league. There's Aubameyang and all of them guys, but he also had the second best XG. You know, I like stats, guys. You know, I like data. He had the second best XG for strikers in all competitions for top 5 leagues. That means his shot accuracy is a very, very high one. He was only second to Mateta when it came to hitting the mark. So the goals that the chances he was getting and the goals that he was scoring, 60% led to goals. To me, that is a shout. Of course, that depending on how much he goes for is a completely different kind of story. And I think that will play a big part of whether or not Manchester United will go for him. But another player that United have been linked to, and I think he's probably further along in leaving than a Jonathan David, is Joshua Zirkzee. United interested FC, on the radar FC, monitoring FC, release clause of 40 million euros, which is like, taking into consideration inflation and currency exchange and all that nonsense, is about 34-ish, 35 million. There was a time where, by the way, guys, 40 million euros probably would have been about 30 million pounds. The pound is ass. The pound is crap. Now, Zirkzee, I think is staying in Italy. Serie A, I think that's where he's staying. I think AC Milan are probably the most advanced team to get him. So I'm not going to spend too much time analyzing him. Didn't score as many goals in comparison to other people on the list that we're kind of going through. 11 goals in all competitions last year. Helped Bologna. I know I told you the story yesterday of how I used to call them Bologna, but yeah, it's not Bologna, guys. It's Bologna. But he helped them qualify for Champions League. I'm not going to waste too much time talking about him because I don't think he's going to be at United next season, and I don't think he's of interest. Another player that I was kind of looking into at Girona, I think is very unlikely. I think it's very unlikely because of Girona's links to Manchester City, is the Ukraine international Dovbyk. I don't know, man. You don't know I stay butchering names on here. 24 goals in 36 La Liga games. He's another player that a lot of other clubs are looking at. By the way, a lot of clubs are looking at him. It's not Man United are not looking at him. By the way, guys, I think Jonathan David and Xerxes is the only two names that I've seen flying around for Manchester United. This is just me putting it out there. Another player that Manchester United could look at. 40 million, not too bad. You lot are laughing at the way that I'm saying his name. It's not my fault, guys. It's not my fault. I'm multilingual. And I got speech problems. So if you laugh at me when I mispronounce names, you're just laughing at someone who's got speech problems. Does Dovbyk. Does he have a release clause? He doesn't, but he's got a market value of around 40 million plus. Oh, this is a low-key violation. Mina reminds me of the substitute teacher skit. That's low-key a bio. Oh my days. That is actually a violation. That is actually a violation. He doesn't have a release clause, has his connections to Manchester City. So I just don't know how realistic that would be now. If I was to be so unrealistic. Mina, you are so fluent in English and all about English players. If you think I'm fluent in English, that's so funny. English is like my third language. English is my third language. Mina, please say speech impediment. I can say it. You know, I told you lot this story before, guys, about my speech impediment growing up in primary school. So you lot can laugh at me all you want, but I genuinely had a speech impediment growing up. And my teacher used to keep me back at lunchtime to practice basically getting rid of the speech impediment. So you lot can laugh. You lot can laugh all you want. Yeah? But it doesn't take away the fact that you lot are bullies. You're bullies. And yeah, English is not my first language. So of course I'm going to mispronounce stuff wrong. But back to the topic. I'm a reckless delegate, so yes, I will laugh. And you know what's funny, guys? I'm the first person to take the piss out of other people's speech impediments. I am the first. That's how bad I am. I would take the piss out of someone, and then when they take the piss out of me, by the way, I'm always the butt of the jokes at family gatherings when it comes to people with speech impediments. And when it comes to making jokes about me, I'll get so upset. You do pretty well with the English now. Your Jamaican patois needs work. Listen, I grew up with bare yardies. You know, my best friend in high school was a yardie, 7 years. We had this thing. I teach her things in my language. She teaches me how to say stuff in patois. That was the understanding we had. So, and I grew up with a lot of yardies in my neighborhood as well. So inevitably, you know, throwing in a little bumba clot here, ras clot, pussy clot, all of that stuff. I'm not trying to get demonetized and all of them stuff, but we could throw in a few patois lingo if we had to. It's always when I'm around Flex, yeah, that the lingo comes out. Whenever I'm around Flex, it comes out. I can't do a Nigerian accent though, unfortunately. I can't do that. Maybe KG can teach me. But talking about Nigeria, see? I thought you were born and bred. So what if I'm born and bred in the UK? So what? English still isn't my first language. It's still not my first language. It was the first language that I probably spoke the most, but it's not my first language. My mother tongue is my first language. On the topic of Nigeria, guys, and just being unrealistic, I would love to see Victor Boniface at Manchester United. I would love to. However, I think he costs probably as much as what Manchester United's entire transfer budget for a forward line is. He's gonna cost more than 50 million. Way more than 50 million. He's got a good like 4 years left, I think, on his contract as well. But I do think Bayer Leverkusen will cash in on him. I think they will definitely cash in on him. I don't see him staying at Bayer Leverkusen. I do see them kind of offloading players. I think Florian Wirtz is probably be the one player they won't cash in on, but I think they'll cash in on a few players in the team right now. Here you go. Show says it. I rate Boniface much higher than Garassi. He's a little stiff, but all round game much better. 100%. I think his all round game is much better. However, I don't see it realistically happening. He missed a lot of the season. He missed a bit of the season because of injury problems. And when you come to all the data side of stuff, he does a lot better than some of the players that I've already spoken about. But you know, it's not essentially all data stuff. Sometimes eye test is equally as important. I think his price will drive up. 50 million is probably just the lowest of the low balling for him. He easily, if Victor Osimhen got a release clause of 120 million, I wouldn't be surprised if they try sell this guy for as much, maybe equally. I think what helps with Victor Osimhen for Napoli is that he's got a release clause. Of course, Conte is now coming into Napoli, so I don't even know if they're going to sell Victor Osimhen. I don't even know. I thought Chelsea was the only team highly linked to him. I have not. Victor Osimhen hype, guys, has died. It has died. Victor Osimhen, I was hearing about him left, right, centre all of last season. This season, quiet. I don't think anybody probably had a quicker fall off than Victor Osimhen when it comes to links to other clubs. Personally, I stopped hyping him up. I was hyping him up last year. I was hyping him up last year when Napoli were on their way to win the league. They slapped him with a release clause of 120 million plus. Ain't nobody flipping paying that in this economy, and not for a Victor Osimhen. Florian Wirtz, I look at João Neves, and they're saying he's got a 100 million release clause. I'm like, he's got a 120 release clause. I'm like, who? People will probably more likely pay that than they would pay 120 for Victor Osimhen. And no disrespect to Victor Osimhen, I just don't think he's worth that. And maybe Napoli are trying to get that big name signing off their books to kind of bring in money. He didn't have the best AFCON either, personally. I don't think he had the best. I don't think he had the best AFCON. But there's another player that I think United should look at if they're serious. If they're gonna spend money on a striker, they should look at Santiago Jimenez. I just like his name as well. I'm not gonna lie. I like the name of Santiago Jimenez. At Feyenoord, worked under a man like Arne Slot. So clearly he's got a record, guys. He clearly got a record of working under bold Dutch managers. That should be tick number 1. You look at the checklist, you say Dutch league, tick. Worked under a bold Dutch manager, tick. 50 to 60 million price tag. Actually, I think it's like a 40 to 50 million price tag. Doesn't have a release clause either. He was spotted at a Spurs game earlier in the season, and he's been linked to a few Premier League teams. But at this rate, I feel like when a player is linked to a few Premier League teams, Manchester United is always kind of in the cut for that. I think Manchester United are always in the cut for those kind of conversations. I think he's a young player. Again, fits the bracket of young, upcoming talent. However, I don't know if Manchester United will spend heavily on a young striker the way that they did on Rasmus Højlund, especially with Ineos now in. I just personally, I kind of don't see it happening. Making that move from the Dutch league to the Premier League again is something that doesn't really work in his favor. But I wouldn't be surprised if Feyenoord do look to move him on. I wouldn't be too surprised. And last but not least, definitely not least, man like England's very own third striker for the Euros right now, Ivan Toney. 1 year left on his deal. And Brentford think they can get 70 million for him. Brentford think 70 million for Ivan Toney with one. Wallahi, if United ever paid that, I think that's worse than the Mason Mount deal. I'll be honest. I think that's worse than the Mason Mount deal. If they are targeting purposefully, Manchester United under Ineos are targeting players that got 1 year left on their deal, and they see an Ivan Toney and they see a price tag of 70 million, 60 million, Brentford must have lost their damn mind. Brentford must have lost their damn mind. Arsenal have moved away. By the way, I think Arsenal and Chelsea were the two names that were heavily linked. Before his betting ban, these were the two teams that I thought he would end up at. It made sense for me. I'm not going to lie. I always thought an Ivan Toney at Arsenal would be the final piece to their puzzle. I do think they need a left winger as well. I'll be honest. His ban has kind of decreased his value. His value has kind of depreciated. But we know the talent that he is. I think we know the type of player that he is. I think alongside Højlund, wallahi, he would be the perfect piece to put next to Højlund if we're playing two strikers. But 70 million is blasphemous. That is a blasphemous deal, in my opinion. That price tag. It's like me walking into I'm not saying he's worth nothing, but it's like walking in. Have you ever been to nowadays, guys? You go into a £1 store. I like to go to the pound store to buy my essentials. Yeah, I like to buy my I like to buy like toothpaste, and when I'm going on holiday, that's where I go when I'm buying my sprays, deodorants, all of that kind of stuff. I go into a pound store. The other day I went into a pound store. I'm saying the other day, this is like 9 months ago, yeah. But I went into a pound store. I was doing my holiday shopping, and I saw stuff that were not £1. And I said, this is fake then. This is actually deception. It's blasphemous. Because how are you called a £1 store and you are selling stuff for £10? That doesn't make sense. You're not the £1 store anymore. You are not the £1. I'm better off going to Tesco and buying my essentials from there because you are now the same price as all the other supermarkets. Back in the day, you could go to the pound store. Guys, I used to, wallahi, I was such a scammer, yeah. Eid gifts. I used to buy them for my nieces and my nephews from the pound store. They were so... I walk in, I see a little Spider-Man set, £1. Yeah, bam. Grab that for my little nephew. A nice little Frozen set. Because my niece is obsessed with Frozen. Bam. I would pick that up. I would say, you know what? My mum likes decor. Let me get her some candles. Bam, £1. Now I go into the pound store and I try to buy them same stuff. It will cost me £30. It will cost me £30. And I've just reminded myself I have not brought flipping Eid gifts yet. I haven't brought Eid gifts. Is Eid on Sunday? Yes, it is. It will be on Sunday. Because I think Hajj is starting today or tomorrow. And then it's Arafah on Saturday. So if you're fasting on Arafah, good luck. Because the fasting hours are going to be long. But it's just one day. And then Eid Sunday. This is the big Eid. So make sure you lot go all out. Make sure you go all out with your friends, with your family. Eid is about family, friends after. So make sure you go all out with your family. Eat a lot of food. Celebrate. Be nice with the gifts. Be giving. I'm going to try to do a transfer stream on Eid in between what I have planned for the day, but England's playing on Eid as well, so that gives me something to watch with my family. And you see how I just get easily sidetracked, guys. You see how I get sidetracked so easily. Why am I talking about Eid? Because I was just talking about Poundland, and then I ended up talking about Eid. In my country, the other Eid is more celebrated than this Eid. No way. Well, this is the big Eid. This is the 3 days. They say you should have celebrate for 3 days. I've been in a Muslim country for a few Eids, and when I was in the UAE and it was Eid al-Adha, which is this Eid, they went all out. But then I've been in the UAE for Eid al-Fitr as well, and they went all out for that one as well. So maybe they just go all out for all of them. But make sure you enjoy. I thought it would be nice weather. We're in June. I thought it'd be nice. What a shame. Father's Day as well. Big up to everyone that's celebrating Father's Day as well, to all the fathers in the world. Come to Malaysia. Oh my God, Malaysia is on my bucket list. I want to go to Kuala Lumpur so badly. I want to go so badly. I need to celebrate. I want to experience celebrating Eid in different countries. But I need to, before I do all of that, I need to celebrate Eid in my own country, because I've never celebrated Eid in my country. The last time I was in my country, I left the day before Eid and came back to the UK. So I need to celebrate an Eid in my country, because that one, they go out as well. In America, no Eid is celebrated big, but in Guyana, this Eid is big. In America, I think it depends what states you're in, because I guess where there is predominantly a lot of Muslims, I mean, like the Philadelphias, because I hear about a big Muslim community in Philly. I know there's a big Muslim community in Dallas. I know there's a big Muslim community from my ethnic background in the places like San Diego, Minnesota, Ohio, etc. So I can imagine that they go all out. But I guess it's just down to where you live. Where I live in the UK, there's a big Muslim community. So everywhere you go, like the mosques are packed. On Eid for Eid prayer, we have to do. I think like they do like 3 Eid prayers at my mosque because every prayer is so packed. So I think normally in the summer we go and pray in the park. There's a park in my neighborhood, and everybody comes there. But the sun ain't out, so I ain't trying to pray outdoors because I'm already getting sick. So I ain't trying to pray outdoors. But I do know, I think it's actually sunnah to pray outdoors. I might be wrong. Let me not spread blasphemous statements either. Chicago, there's a big community as well. I'm like, you couldn't pay me enough to go to Chicago. I'm too scared. I'm too scared to go to Chicago. Detroit, I didn't know there was a community there as well in Detroit. I live 5 kilometers away from the Twin Towers. Yes, I've seen that. The Twin Towers with the bridge that kind of comes across. You might not want to go back after eating foods here. I've been to a Malaysian restaurant in the UK, but it's probably nowhere near as having Malaysian food. But back to the topic, guys. Before we get sidetracked, we could talk all things Eid on Sunday, inshallah, when I do a stream on Sunday. Now, Brentford, of course, looking to offload Ivan Toney. Inevitably, I think he will leave this summer. I will be very shocked to see him in a Brentford shirt next summer, because next season, sorry, because that means he will probably leave Brentford on a free. I just think that they will definitely try to push him out. As I mentioned, Arsenal and Chelsea were the 2 names that he was most linked to, and it looks like both of them have gone down the path of younger profiles, which basically I think Manchester United will kind of be off the books as well for Ivan Toney, because similar to Chelsea and Arsenal, they will probably go down younger routes. Now, where does that leave him going? He ain't going to City. He's not going to Arsenal. Probably won't go to Chelsea. Might not go to United. I think the price tag will price people out. So unless Brentford are willing to accept less than what they are valuing him for, then that's the only way I see it happening. I think Toney goes Spurs. Spurs do need a striker. What were you saying? If they dash in a Richarlison and a light 30 million? If they dash in Richarlison, which till today I can't believe they brought Richarlison for 50 million. But if they dash in Richarlison for and a light 30 million, is that something that they would even accept? Breaking, Manchester United are set to submit a bid for Everton centre-back Jared Branthwaite. That's coming from the Mail on Sport. Let me just grab that up on the screen right now. Let me know, guys, by the way, where you see Ivan Toney going. I would love him at Manchester United, but I just don't think the price tag. I don't think the price tag is it. I don't think the price tag is it. Some more transfer news as well. Actually, it's not just it's not just about Jared Branthwaite. There's a lot of damn. Since I've been live, I've missed out on a lot of stuff, guys. I've clearly missed out on quite a bit since I've been live. This list is making me sick. You know me, guys. I'm as bad as them aggregators online. I just get my information from them because I don't follow a lot of these journalists. I'm not gonna lie, I don't follow most of them. But some quick transfer news before we go into the Jared Branthwaite stuff. Manchester United is a very good chance Johnny Evans will be given his a 1-year extension at Manchester United. I can't be mad about this. I can't lie. For me, he's a Manchester United legend. He's this guy here is an absolute legend, yeah? And we should treat our legends with respect. We should treat them with dignity. We should admire them and we should appreciate them. We shouldn't push them out of the door like we have with past legends. We should treat them proper. Listen, no, all jokes aside though, I can't be mad at this. United need experience in the locker room. They need leadership. This guy is the pinnacle, I think, out of all the players at Manchester United right now. He is the most experienced. He's the most decorated, even. And I'm maybe, obviously, Casemiro, all of that kind of stuff. Casemiro is more decorated from him. But talking about Manchester United and things he's won with Manchester United, guys, he's won everything now with Manchester United. FA Cup was the last thing that he needed in his kind of locker. And he's won everything that he needs to domestically with Manchester United. United need experience. They need a cool head in the dressing room. That backline needs that. I can't be too mad about this. I can't be too mad about this. Some more information coming out from the Telegraph as well. Manchester United have strong interest. I flipping hate that term. Oh my god, guys. I don't know why I hate the sound that my chair makes every time I flip and move around. Clearly, I need to get a new chair. Or the term Manchester United are interested. But Manchester United have strong interest. So we've moved from having interest to having strong interest. You see the difference in tone, guys. We've stepped up a little bit. We've stepped up. We went from having interest to strong interest in Joshua Zirkzee, and are among the clubs considering triggering. So we've now gone from approaching to maybe considering triggering his release clause. AC Milan and Juve are also keen admirers, and it remains to be seen whether Manchester United interests prompts Arsenal to make a move. Of course, it's not just Man United in the Premier League that are looking at this guy. Interest is haram. Ittaqillah. Interest, absolutely not. I get some WD-40 for the chair. I need to put oil on it. I need to get rid of this chair, man. I've had it for how long? I've had it for 3 years. Yeah. But I got it as a gift. I'm a sentimental person, man. When people get me stuff, I use it until it literally cannot be used anymore. I can't wait for the United admire Zirkzee stories. When we hear that United admire, I think that's when they step it up. So it goes interest, strong interest, admire, monitoring is the bottom. So it goes monitoring, interest, admire, approaching. That is the steps for Manchester United. So right now we're just strong interest. We're in between interest and admire. That's what we're in between. But I don't really see it happening. I don't know, man. With the transfer window with Manchester United, for me, just everything kind of seems unpredictable. Everything seems a bit unpredictable for me. Telegraph also reported Manchester United's main primary centre-back for the chair. Guys, honestly, yeah, it's actually annoying me. You know what I try to do? I always hope, sometimes I try to sit far back, yeah, just so that if I move, you don't hear it. But I know you're always going to hear it. But big up to Kuala with the super chat says for the chair. I might have to start a contribution pot. So many steps. There's a lot of steps in the process. If you're new here, there's a lot of steps in the process for Manchester United when it comes to making a move. Interest, monitoring, admire, approaching, loves, rejected. You see, should we call it the 8 stages of grief for Manchester United in the transfer market? That's what we should call it, the 8 stages of grief. We go from monitoring to admiring to interested to approaching to negotiating to loving and then rejected. I need to put that on I need to make an edit. I'm going to make an edit after this stream. The 8 stages of grief for Manchester United during a transfer window. But Manchester United's primary centre-back targets are Jared Branthwaite, number 1. Jean-Claire Todibo, number 2. Lenny Yoro, number 3. Mark Gahey, number 4. And Trevor Chalobah, number 5. You know that? What's that? Shit, what's that? Is it a Wizkid or Burna Boy song? Bad energy, stay far away. Make it stay far. I don't know who sings that. I don't know if it's Wizkid or if it's Burna Boy. But that's how I feel about Trevor Chalobah. Keep him far away from me. I don't care. I don't care if it's for depth. I don't care if he's 25 million. Wizkid, there you go. It's a Wizkid song. Shout out to Wizkid and shout out to all my Nigers. Keep Trevor Chalobah far away from Manchester United. He's not Man United standard. I'm sorry. I know beggars can't be choosers, but he is not a starter for what Manchester United need. He's an appetizer. He's a little thing on the side that you have for backup. But if we're looking at primary centre-back targets, he should not be on that list. He should be on the backup options for Manchester United centre-back targets. So after we sign our main centre-back, he should be the other options. You know, the category of other. That is where he should fall under. Jared Branthwaite, I'll be real. I've always said this. Big up to Kadeem, our resident Everton fan as well. I just never understood the big price tag for him. Everton wants 70 million and United are set to submit a bid for Everton centre-back Jared Branthwaite. How much, guys? Just quickly in the chat, give me the starting price that United are sending. Give me the price that you think United are submitting. Give me what you think. Because I've seen, by the way, I always see contradicting reports. I see 1 minute saying that Branthwaite is the admired partner for Martinez. Then I'm seeing Todibo, and he's left-footed. So what does that mean for Martin? Everyone's saying 40 million. Flipping out, are all of you guys in sync? Are all of you lot sitting in one room together watching the stream saying this is what we're going to offer? This is what everybody in the chat has said. 40 million. Every single one of you. 40 million max. 40 million. 40 million and £1. Word to Wenger. 40. I think Riri meant 40 million. There's no way she meant 40k. 35 million. He can't even get in over Dunk. I don't know. Personally, I say this all the time. I don't know how the hell he did not get in the England squad. Especially with Maguire being left behind. I don't know. Brian says 40/50. Ridwan says 40 million plus 0. United will be willing to go up to 50, but that's it. Take it or leave it. Will you be happy if Manchester United do a take it or leave it kind of thing where 50 million is their cutoff, which is what I think they apparently value him at. They reportedly value him at 50 million, and they have no intention to pay what Everton are asking for. By the way, can I just quickly say, Everton have gone from asking for 90 million to 80 million, and now it's 70 million. This is how I know Everton are desperate, and they have to, because Everton got financial issues right now, and that kind of plays into Manchester United's hands. There are talks about a takeover for Everton. They're building their new stadium. They are literally being beaten up left, right, centre with FFP. They are getting points deductions all over the place. They need to sell by 30th of June. They have to. And it's gone from 90, 80, 70. It might be 60 by the end of the week. It really might be 60 by the end of the week. Maybe United could get him for 50. But then again, I just don't get how United are moving for Jared Branthwaite when you've got Todibo right there. I'd rather personally, if hypothetically speaking, Manchester United spent 70 million on Jared Branthwaite. I don't think they will, but hypothetically speaking, if they did spend that 70 million on him, I'd rather they buy Euro and Todibo instead for the same price, or around the same price, dash in an extra 10 million, and you get them for 80. CB market is not that hot at the moment. Only United are going after Branthwaite. Beggars can't be choosing. That's the truth, though. There is no one else linked to Jared Branthwaite. Oh my god, it's a one-man race. It's a one-man race, not your boy at Leon Lukaku. Firstly, he's at RB Leipzig, yeah? Get that right, firstly. Number 2, his name ain't Lukaku. His name's Lukeba, yeah? Castello Lukeba. Watch him at the Olympics this year, yeah? All of you, people talking shit about Lukeba, yeah? Watch him at the Olympics this year. You know what? Furthermore, I'll even do watch-alongs during the Olympics. Just for show, I'll do watch-alongs. I know it's money problems when Kadeem says he's a good player for any player I inquire about. I mean, I saw United, and it's on the thumbnail. I saw United flip him being linked to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Wallahi, I nearly had a heart attack. I nearly broke the chair. When I saw that we were linked to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. But then I had to remind myself it's just the transfer window, and United get linked to everyone. United get linked to everyone during the transfer window. It'll be very interesting to see what is going to be the first fee, I guess, that they put in for Jared Branthwaite. Of course, a lot of you guys have mentioned 40 million, which is probably going to be, that sounds about right. If United value him at 50 million and they're willing to pay up to 50 million, then it sounds about right that will be the price that they're willing to pay. United will now look to do business. This is extra news. United will look to do business with Everton as they try to make Branthwaite their first summer signing. That's who they're aiming for, is Branthwaite number 1. But are very wary of FFP rulings if they are to negotiate. It's expected that the negotiations for the England man will take some time and won't be straightforward. When has anything ever been straightforward for Manchester United? Let's just ask ourselves that. When has anything ever been straightforward forward. But big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe, guys. There you have it, man. We are there. We are done with today's stream. A nice little, I was gonna say a nice little simple one. But it's not a simple one because it's been 1 hour and 20 minutes. Let me know what you lot are up to this evening. Football is back tomorrow. The Euros begin. I will find time to do some watch-alongs over the coming weeks, but I've already told you lot, the watch-along world is going to be so saturated during the Euros. So I might do post-match reviews where we talk about the game. I don't know. We'll see. But the Euros are back tomorrow. Germany versus Scotland will be an interesting one. There is no football on today, so I'm actually off to go watch Bad Boys. I think it's number 4. And I watched the third one came out back in like just before COVID, because I remember me and my friends went to the cinema to watch it today. So now we're gonna go watch the number 4. I'm looking forward to that. Watching cricket, T20 World Cup. I wish I was into cricket. I really wish I was into cricket, but I'm just not into it. It's just I don't find it interesting. I like playing it when I'm in my neighborhood in the summer. Like we've got a lot of people of Asian descent, who kids, etc., that come and play cricket in the park. So I do enjoy that, but I don't really enjoy watching cricket. But I did say this year I will get into, what did I say I would get into? Formula One. I said I'd get into Formula One. So let me know when like the Formula One games happen. I don't know. Is it called games? Is it called matches? I don't know what the hell they call it. Races. They call it races. Let me know when the Formula One races happen or start to happen. And of course, I might try to do watch-alongs for that. But you're just gonna sit there and watch me asking 101 questions. It's like basically Formula One for dummies. That's what I should call it. I should call it Formula One for dummies. And you lot just watch me watch flipping Formula One. Basketball watch-alongs. I can't do basketball watch-alongs because most of the time it's late night. But I've seen Celtics about to sweep the Dallas Mavericks. What a damn shame. I was rooting for the Mavs. I hate the Celtics, but I like Jaylen Brown. Tatum, I only like Tatum because he's a big Kobe fan. But I love Kyrie. I'm a big fan of Luka Doncic, and Luka Doncic has just, by the way, fumbled shit big time over the last couple of games. But yeah, it looks like Celtics about to sweep their way to an NBA championship, and they're going to now go above the Lakers for the number of most championships. It is what it is. I got you for F1. I watch F1, so arcs away. You know what? F1, we will absolutely do it, man. Let me know when the races start. But big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Tomorrow we'll be live at 5 p.m. We'll be live at 5 p.m. Not for a transfer thing. It's a debate day. I got a pro Ten Hag, anti Ten Hag, and we're just going to basically just debate. We're just going to debate. So I will see you lot all here at 5 p.m. tomorrow. Be sure to turn on your post notifications so when we go live, you get notified. Big up to everyone. I hope you have a wonderful evening. If there is any other breaking news between now and tomorrow, I will be live. I wouldn't hold your breath though. Like I said, hit your like button and be sure to subscribe. If you want to join the membership club, guys, you can. It's the pinned comment in the chat. You get your badges, you get your emojis, you get your custom member content. I'm out, guys. Peace.